Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my newest patron, Dan S. Thank you for choosing to support the channel. Upon doing some digging, it turns out this Tesla Mexico situation, there's a lot more going on than just meets the eye and Tesla deciding whether to set up a factory or not. We got this article today, but in case you don't know, in Mexico they have 31 states, kind of like how the United States has states and one federal district. So there are a few of those states in Mexico that are essentially trying to argue, and all of them are wooing for Tesla to come set up shop in their state. But here's what is not being talked about. If you go back to 2015, you will see that this joint venture, the owners of this Sonora lithium project in northern Mexico, they actually finalized a conditional long-term lithium hydroxide supply agreement with Tesla Motors. It's also very important that this lithium mine has what? Clay deposits. We'll come back. This Sonora lithium project is partly owned by Ganfeng Lithium. Also, if you scroll down just to get an idea of where it is on a map, there you go. Nuevo Leon, remember, is somewhere over here. If you've been hanging around Electrified for a bit, you may remember that Tesla signed a deal with Ganfeng Lithium back in November of 2021. This is part of why we've chosen to cover the daily news so that we can pick up on breadcrumbs like this over time. That 3-year contract that was signed actually started in 2022, so it would be good for 22, 23, and 24. Just yesterday, a Mexican publication put this out, saying the foreign minister mentioned that Tesla has interest in Sonora due to its lithium exploitation. Here's where we have different Mexican states jockeying for Tesla's business. We have this state, Tamaulipas, basically saying, hey, we do not have any droughts, no water shortages, so Tesla really should come here, among other reasons. This is a big deal because over the past year, it's been reported that other parts in Mexico, specifically Nuevo Leon, have been experiencing droughts, and they said it was over, then citizens said that it wasn't, so it's hard to really know for sure, but it seems like it's a problem to be aware of. Because of course, a gigafactory needs a decent amount of water, even Tesla, who does things more efficiently than the rest. Another interesting storyline that happened last week, so the Mexican president has handed over responsibility for lithium reserves to the Energy Ministry after nationalizing lithium deposits last April. This right here is the bargaining chip for Mexico. After nationalizing these lithium reserves, what that means is a company like Tesla will basically have to use that lithium, if they do, in Mexico to actually make and assemble any batteries in Mexico. It could still be a win-win though, because the Inflation Reduction Act includes all of North America, which of course includes Mexico. So far, Mexico does not have commercial lithium production, but a handful of foreign companies have contracts to explore potential lithium deposits. It's worth noting, in the summer of last year, Mexico created a state-run lithium company that was set to go live toward the end of last year. If you go back to Tesla's Battery Day in 2020, look at the name of their patent: Selective Extraction of Lithium from Clay Minerals, clay deposits. And these timelines just happen to make a ton of sense. The Sonora lithium project in Mexico is set to start production in the middle of 2024, producing lithium from clay deposits. But there's more. Ganfeng is also looking at building battery recycling there and eventually solar power. Ganfeng says extracting lithium from clay at Sonora will be quicker than lithium produced in South America from brine. So it's pretty clear there is a lot more going on than Tesla just deciding where to put its factory and trying to get incentives from the government. There's a whole industry of mining, lithium extraction, renewable energy, solar, and so on. So what we have here is at least 11 different states throwing themselves at Tesla to try to win its business. And what do you know? Back to the article today, Tesla has a long history of playing different cities and states against each other for its business. However, all of that said, this is definitely worth keeping in mind. This open fight in Mexico could be risky for the country, potentially leading Tesla to call off the investment. Reason being, there are political tensions in Mexico, there are some unstable areas, and there is some element of risk involved. With that said though, many Mexican states desperately want Tesla's business, and Tesla can parlay that into potentially getting better and better deals. The longer Tesla holds out, the more desperate and anxious these states and leaders will get. Owen Sparks on Twitter shared a graphic of the new Tesla Magic Dock, just giving us an idea. I know some people are still confused. So for Tesla vehicles, the regular NACS connector will pull out. For CCS vehicles, the adapter, the CCS adapter, will be connected to the NACS charger. That'll also come out so you can charge your vehicle, and that adapter will always either be affixed to the Tesla connector or to the Magic Dock itself. Tesla has not yet made this official. If you go to the supercharger map and only select superchargers open to non-Tesla, you will see no locations in the United States. And yes, there are plenty overseas. This was a very impressive infographic from Visual Capitalist, just showing retail inflows only year to date for 2023. Tesla far and away in the #1 spot with $9.75 billion of retail inflows year to date. Followed in a distant second place at $3.58 billion of inflows for the Spider ETF. And then we have Amazon, Apple, Nvidia, and the Triple Q. If you ever needed facts and data that the Tesla retail community is special, here you go. Speaking of supercharging, finally, Measurement Canada has given approval for all Level 3 charger providers to bill customers per kilowatt hour instead of per time spent at a charger. The time spent at a charger is of course unfair for some older vehicles that may charge only up to 50 kilowatts compared to others maybe charging up to 250. And of course, this does not just apply to the supercharger network, but all public charging in Canada. Over the past 2 years, Tesla's policy team has been working closely with Measurement Canada, so Tesla may switch things over to per kilowatt hour billing within the next few weeks. Earlier this week, we talked about parts of the Model 3 production line at Shanghai being shut down for upgrades, maybe for Project Highland. Wu Hua gave us confirmation he saw trucks carrying large equipment into the factory in front of the factory door. He added, Model 3 seems to have stopped the production of the old model. Anecdotes like the following are always tricky because you may hear even a few and then it starts to seem like everybody is saying that when in reality it's still just a few. But either way, he said customers were saying the Model 3 was too old compared with China's new energy vehicle manufacturers where new models are introduced every year. And look, we know that Tesla is constantly making changes to its vehicles. It just doesn't do model years. But for the average consumer, where in the Chinese market, the Model 3 has been there for about the last 3 years, they may not know things like that. So you just have to keep all of that in mind. I want you guys to hear this quick clip from Autoline Network.
Toyota and Honda are losing more customers to EV buyers than any other brands in the American market. And most of them are going to Tesla. BMW and Mercedes are also losing customers to Tesla, but at half the rate that Honda and Toyota are. The two Japanese brands account for over 28% of new Tesla customers, according to S&P Global.
I'll be honest, I have exactly zero sympathy for Toyota and Honda slowly starting to get crushed by the Tesla wave. They've been dragging their feet, and you have to sleep in the bed that you make. And just a quick word from Mark Fields on Tesla.
Yeah, I think Tesla is still the benchmark here in the EV market. I think, one of their very smart moves that they made early on was to go for pretty much almost full vertical integration, where they can control, they're the master of their own destiny of costs, literally, and a lot of the large amounts of value of the material that goes into their products. When you combine that with their brand, which is held in high regard, they're a first mover, they tend to get a price premium, they continue to be in the lead, and we'll see next week when they have their investor day how they're going to continue to move the business forward. But I think every automaker still benchmarks Tesla as the leader at this point.
Earlier this week, we talked about how Elon is trying to parlay the positive result from the funding secured trial to get out of the settlement he entered into with the SEC when it comes to people overseeing his tweets. Based on that new letter from Elon and his lawyer, so far the SEC is not having it, saying Elon still needs a so-called Twitter sitter. Elon has been trying to argue that this settlement is infringing on his rights and it's unconstitutional, but the SEC is saying, hey, Elon, you've effectively agreed to this 2 different times, so we'll see how it shakes out. An oral argument for the appeal is slated for sometime this spring. Electrified reported today that Tesla applied for a patent for its ultra-hard steel for the Cybertruck. However, this is actually pretty old news. I did a deep dive video on this very topic about 2 years ago. If you're new to the channel or you're just yet to see this video of mine, I will link it below and put it above. I definitely think it's worth a watch, especially if you're interested in the Cybertruck and or Tesla's material science innovations. In simple terms, better yield strength, better hardness, better anti-corrosive properties, etc. I found this from earlier in the week and not really any mainstream articles picked this up, at least that I saw, and I just want my black brothers and sisters who are watching to know that I'm not just trying to gloss over this or brush over it. I just don't have any information to add, and I don't have all of the information on what's going on at Tesla's factory in Buffalo. So just to keep everybody informed, 7 current and former Tesla employees, all of whom are black, told Investigative Post the treatment they've experienced has ranged from offensive remarks to being repeatedly passed over for promotions. So of course, it should go without saying, if any of this is actually going on, it should be deaded immediately. We've been saying for a few weeks that Tesla energy season has finally arrived, and we can add this to the list. One of the United States' first solar peaker plants, which of course is using a Tesla Megapack, just broke ground. This project is from Erevan, and specifically this one is located in Southern California. We're talking about 137 megawatts of solar and a 150 megawatt, 600 megawatt hour, aka 4-hour duration Tesla Megapacks that will eventually power tens of thousands of homes. No word so far on when this will be operational. However, this right here is a beautiful blueprint of what the future should look like. Solar, capturing energy from the sun, storing it in the Megapacks, distributing as needed efficiently. And it's all very clean. From Benchmark, lithium prices have continued to fall for the 11th straight week. The price for battery-grade lithium fell by 7.6% between February 8th and the 22nd. It's worth noting the first quarter is always weak for lithium prices, so this drop should not be so unexpected. However, from an industry analyst, the amount of the move down may have been a bit unexpected. Also from Benchmark's cathode price index, that fell 6% from the middle of January to middle February. The index has fallen 19% from mid-November, reaching its lowest point since January of 2022. And it's not just for one grade or chemistry, but the fall in cathode prices can be seen across the grades. And when it comes to the Tesla China numbers and specifically the weekly insurance registration data, keep this point in mind from Benchmark. Sales of new energy vehicles in China fell by 48% in January compared to December. Now that stat is all NEVs, so this does include plug-in hybrids as well, but as we've been saying, we should all be expecting a slowdown in China. There are recession talks there, there's a housing crisis, the EV subsidies are gone, the illness is still going around, there's just plenty of things at play. Ford has decided to suspend production of the F-150 Lightning for one more week after that car caught on fire last week. They said that SK, who makes cells for the truck, started building cells again, but it'll take time to ensure they're back to building high quality cells and to deliver them to the Lightning production line. Ford has decided to suspend production of the F-150 Lightning for one more week after that vehicle caught on fire earlier this month. So SK has started building cells again, which supplies the F-150 Lightning, but they said it'll take time to ensure they're back to building high quality cells and to deliver them to the Lightning production line. All we really learn is that SK has made some changes to their equipment and processes on their cell production lines. If you missed it, that vehicle fire happened while the car was charging. It sounds like Audi may build its first factory in the United States to produce EVs, but a decision has not been made. Additionally, VW is at the drawing board for Scout, which it bought back in 2021. Apparently has plans to relaunch it as an electric truck brand that will begin production in 2026 from a plant in the United States. VW had considered contract manufacturers Foxconn and Magna, but decided to build the plant on its own. To send you off into the weekend, Holmar said, "I can't wait to see people's stunned reactions as Cybertruck climbs the sales charts," to which I of course completely agree. And Elon said, "Ramping production as always will be the challenge, not demand." You can find me on Twitter at DylanLoomis22. Hope you guys have a wonderful and a safe weekend. Please like the video if you did, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.